So you know a game is in high demand when anytime a job posting gets listed or hired for, it's immediately reported as a news story, and that's exactly what we're seeing happen with Metroid Prime 4 as they have now hired a new animator from Dreamworks Studio, and I want to share my thoughts on when I think we can expect more news to come down the pipeline for Metroid Prime 4 and hopefully a gameplay trailer around the corner. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now guys, today we're talking about Metroid Prime 4, and this is amongst the top most anticipated game on my list personally, probably second only to a Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel. So I really hope that we get more information on this game soon, but the reason it's in the news today is because Retro Studios has officially hired a Dreamworks animator, and I want to share kind of what I think that could mean as far as the, where it's at in development and when we can hopefully see some final gameplay of this game, as it has been quite some time since we were shown the original development trailer, but of course it was totally scrapped and restarted since that was done. And now with this new job development, it does appear that they're still obviously in the development stage. So for people who are hoping that we may see this game at the end of 2021 or even at E3 with like a demo or something like that, I would probably limit those expectations, as I would expect it to more than likely be a late 2022 title for them to get all of the work in that they want to do. Nintendo obviously has huge standards for the Metroid Prime 4 installment, as they were willing to literally scrap and throw away 2 years worth of work because they were not happy with where that game was headed at that point in time, and they literally pulled the studio that was working on it and assigned it to Retro Studios, who has a fantastic track record with Metroid specifically. So I think that this means that we are probably around the corner from another trailer, which I do think will hopefully maybe give us a glimpse of actual gameplay, or at least some cutscenes of what the engine will look like and what we can kind of expect from a graphical performance on this title. But I don't think we will see it playable yet at all, and I do think that this will be a later title to focus on more in the back half of 2022. Now, as far as who was hired and why, let's read through the report from My Nintendo News on who this individual is and what they will be contributing to the team. The talented team at Austin-based Retro Studios have been on a hiring spree of late to create their next magnum opus, Metroid Prime 4. They have recently recruited animator Chad Orr from the acclaimed animation company Dreamworks to help participate in the long-running project. Metroid fan site Shinesparkers have said that Mr. Orr has worked on projects by Disney, Moana, Zootopia, Sony Pictures, Imageworks, Sony Santa Monica on God of War, and Dreamworks Animation, How to Train Your Dragon 3, and The Croods: A New Age. Mr. Orr also has a number of accolades to his name, so it will be exciting to see his work and the work of all the other talented members of the Retro Studios team once the game finally releases. So I think the reassuring thing is Nintendo is probably sparing no expense whenever they're going out and hiring animators like this that have industry level accolades and that can obviously bring a lot of talent to the table at a great team like Retro Studios. So it is very exciting to see that the budget for this project is probably huge. I definitely think personally that this could be, the start of a second trilogy in the Metroid franchise for Prime specifically. So this either closes up the Prime franchise altogether, or it's going to be the start of a part 2, which is what I hope we see, because I don't know if you guys played through the original Metroid Prime trilogy or not. Metroid Prime 1 is where I spent the majority of my hours, just because Echoes did kind of change it up a little bit and I liked it, but I think Metroid Prime 1 was like the sweet spot of the entire series. And then of course on Corruption on the Wii with Metroid Prime 3, I did not get as into that game just due to the motion controls. But what I am actually hoping that we do see from Nintendo at E3, and the rumored game that's probably already done, is it's about time for it to come to life, and that is Metroid Prime Trilogy. And I think the number one thing that I would set my expectations for from E3 is one of two things, actually. It's either a 2D Metroid game announced, whether that be new or some kind of other redone Metroid game, kind of like they did with Samus Returns on the 3DS, or most likely, and what I'm hoping to see, is actually a Metroid Prime Trilogy official launch trailer. Hopefully it comes out at the holiday window of 2021, and then that's going to give fans time to play through 3 incredible Metroid games that are all really 40 to 60 hour adventures, depending on how much you want to complete through the game. And I think that they can give us that this year, and then actually give us a trailer with some gameplay and maybe even a launch window for Prime 4, like it will say late 2022 or something like that. That's my personal prediction, and that's what I'm hoping we see from Nintendo at E3, because they've obviously had, you know, about 2 years since they've restarted the project from scrap at this point. I think something like a Metroid Prime 4 does sound like a 3-year title at least, so that's why I'm predicting it to be at the end of next year. But with all the talent that they're still bringing on, I don't think there's any way that we can expect this to be very much sooner than that, because it would be surprising to me if they're continuing to do all these job hirings and bring on new talent onto the bench if the game is really close to completed and just in its polishing phase right now. If you're hiring something like an animator, you're probably still crafting a lot of the cutscenes and a lot of the, you know, transitional gameplay moments and story elements and things like that. So I do think we still have a while to go, which is kind of, you know, disheartening considering Metroid fans really want this. But the reason I'm so pumped for this game is to see Nintendo being willing to scrap all that work because it wasn't up to their standards really says a lot about how much they're trying to value Metroid as one of their future IPs to carry forward into the future, especially now that the Switch has the huge 80 million plus install base that it has. And I know that GameCube had nothing near that. The Wii obviously sold very well, but you know, it's one of those things where Metroid has not really seen a true sequel like it needs to on a super successful console like the Switch, because the GameCube did not have anywhere near that kind of install base, and so a lot of people probably missed out on Prime 1 and 2. Maybe they picked it up in the Trilogy when it was re-released on the Wii, but I don't think that many fans did, as that game did not sell very well at all. And you have to keep in mind that even though the Wii was incredibly successful, it was also something where it was a lot of the grandparents and mainstream audiences picking that up and actually getting into motion controls for the first time, and it wasn't as many just true hardcore Nintendo fans like we see with something like a Nintendo Switch. So I think Metroid Prime 4 absolutely dominates sales numbers. I think it does incredible when it does come out, and again, my personal prediction would be at the end of 2022 to get that. But let's really hope and cross our fingers that we do see some kind of gameplay trailer, so we at least get an idea of what the engine and world looks like on the Switch and how they're crafting this game going forward at E3, which will be, believe it or not, only a couple months away now, as it will be held in the middle part of June, starting on June 15th, and we don't know what day Nintendo's going live with their event yet, but I would definitely look for big Metroid news, hopefully 2D remakes announced, and even maybe the Prime Trilogy at the same time, and then a Metroid Prime 4 trailer, or like I said, we'll get one or the other, either a 2D trailer for a new remastered game or Metroid Prime Trilogy. But I think one of these games is getting announced with a holiday 2021 release window, and then we hopefully get the release trailer, or at least release window, of when we can expect Metroid Prime 4 and some kind of glimpse of the world and the graphics. But I would love to know your guys' thoughts on what you're expecting from E3 at 2021 with Nintendo around Metroid specifically. Do you agree with me in the sense that you do think we will see Metroid Prime Trilogy announced on the Switch, and then also maybe a 2D title and some Metroid Prime 4 trailer news as well, or do you think we will be very limited in the form of Metroid news for now? So please make sure you vote in today's community poll, where I will be asking questions around Metroid, and then make sure you leave me a comment down below with your personal thoughts and predictions around Nintendo's E3 2021. Thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. I do truly appreciate you all sticking around until the end. I do at this point in the video want to invite you all one more time to join Sunbro Nation if you haven't done so already. Do so by subscribing below. Hit the like button on your way out on this video if you enjoyed it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. That's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Sunbro Nation, out.